Time to take a look at your money on this Monday morning. First, let's take a look at the stock market as national stocks are all down. The Dow Jones down 42 points, the Nasdaq's down 16, the S&P 500 is down 32. For the past few months, consumers have been noticing a sizable increase in prices. On Tuesday, the Department of Labor reported consumer prices have risen even higher. The Consumer Price Index for June showed that prices last month rose 0.9%, the largest monthly increase in 13 years. Financial advisor Mark Grywacheski joining us now live to explain just how high these prices have become over the past couple of months. Good morning, Mark.
And a very good morning to you, John. Good to see you. Over the past few months, we have seen this ongoing surge in consumer prices. And, it's almost hard to believe, but in June, prices rose at an even faster pace than they did back in May. In June, consumer prices rose by 0.9%, almost a full percentage point, the largest monthly increase in 13 years. Over the past 12 months, prices have increased by 5.4%, another 13-year record. But then look at core consumer prices, John, which strips out the more seasonal and volatile food and energy prices, and what Wall Street really looked at. Those core consumer prices rose by 4.5% over the past 12 months, the largest annual increase, John, in 30 years.
Wow, that says a lot. Okay, so is there a way that consumers can try to avoid these higher prices? I would think the answer to this is no, but is there anything that they can do to keep things as cheap as possible?
It's a difficult task, and here's why. Some goods and services are being hit a little bit more than the others, but basically we're seeing this rise in prices across the full spectrum of the U.S. economy. But, take a look at some of these price increases over the last 12 months. Prices on used cars and trucks are up over 45% over the past 12 months. A used car that once cost you $10,000, John, now costs about $15,000. A gallon of regular gas up over 42%. Gas is now at a 7-year high. Airfares up over almost 25%. Natural gas, 50% of U.S. homes, John, use natural gas, which is up almost over 15%. And then look at appliances and bacon. Bacon, John, America's favorite healthy snack, up over 8%. But because these rising prices are so extensive throughout the economy, it's really difficult, for consumers to try and maneuver around this inflation.
Yeah, it's too hard to do. Okay, so what's causing this inflation then right now?
There's a number of factors that's really combining together to almost create this perfect storm of inflation. First off, the economy is reopening. People can now go out and spend their money, which is a good thing. But then global supply chains have, yet to fully recover, which limits manufacturers' ability to meet that increased consumer demand for goods. And finally, we have this massive amount of government spending that's literally pouring trillions and trillions of dollars into the economy. And all this is making consumer prices skyrocket.
Okay, so how long should we expect these rising prices to last then? Is there going to be any stop to this anytime soon?
Some of these global supply chain issues, John, should start to work themselves out maybe towards the end of the year, the first part of 2022 next year. Also, those federal supplemental unemployment benefits we've talked about in the past, those are set to expire on September 6th. So this should start to apply a little bit of downward pressure on prices. But then again, you have trillions of dollars in additional government spending being proposed by the Biden administration. So, prices should start to come down, I think a little bit by the end of the year. But I think prices, John, are going to remain relatively high, at least throughout most of 2022 next year.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. We appreciate it as always.
Good to see you again.
All right, it is time